Hi, I'm Sharon, and this is my very first floss tube. I've been procrastinating about doing floss tube for such a long time. So let's get on with it. The name Stitch Doodle is kind of a play on words and also my initials. My initials are SED, and I love stitching and I love drawing. So Stitch Doodle seemed like a very obvious choice for a name. It's also the name of my small business where I sell stationery and pin badges and cross stitch charts, all created with my own little whimsical fun doodles. So if you want to check that out, I shall leave the link below. But anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about my stitching. I think I started stitching in my late teens. I've no idea why or how. I remember finishing a few small projects, and then when I was 20, I was pregnant with my first child, and I thought it would be really nice to do a birth sampler for her. So let's start with that. Now, I didn't know a lot about cross stitch then, so mind the fabric. And this is the unfinished birth sampler. We've got, I think that's URA, that's for Laura. Laura is now 36 years old, and this is where I got to with her birth sampler. I doubt I'll ever get it finished now, but I've kept it just in case. I couldn't even do it for a granddaughter because I do have a granddaughter and she's going to be 15 soon, so it wouldn't even do as a birth sampler for her. So there we go. That's my first shameful piece of stitching. I have to say, for 35-ish years, it's definitely stood the test of time. The colours are great. So that was that. I did stitch a few other wee bits in between that I no longer have for whatever reason. Then baby number 2 came along, Emma. And I didn't do a lot of stitching then, but Emma absolutely loved Thomas the Tank Engine. And I think she still has to this day a little kind of die cast metal Henry engine. So I started stitching Emma a sampler with all the trains. Again, didn't get very well. I did get very far. I just didn't get around to finishing it. Probably because in quick succession my third baby was born. So stitching was kind of a bit here and there. In fact, my third baby, there's a story to tell about that. So I seem to be blocking the light away from me. Maybe that's a good thing. So that's Emma's sampler. I think both of these, the Peter Rabbit and this one, were both from Storybook Cross Stitch. And I'm sure I still have the books. In fact, when I moved house last year, that's when I discovered this because it fell out of the middle of the book. So there's that. But anyway, I do have some fully finished pieces just to show off. So I'm going to take you through a little gallery of the finished pieces. Rose of Sharon, which you can see on the wall behind me. This is probably one of the largest projects I've done. Although I do think I have another lavender lace one somewhere that I'll show in a bit. But the confusing thing about this is I've written on the chart May 1996. It's a big project, lots of stitching, lots of counting. There was no pattern keeper in those days. I had a baby in May 1996. So I don't know if I started at the end of my pregnancy, which would be mad, or the beginning of my third baby motherhood, which would be equally as mad. So I've no idea. Anyway, I stitched on this quite a lot. It was good, just some time out when baby and children were sleeping. And then it kind of fell by the wayside and got lost in a folder somewhere, never to be seen again. Well, that is until 2020, till we all had a little bit more time on our hands. And I dug her out and I recharted her in one stitch because I find that very therapeutic, and I thought it would be much easier to finish stitching her if I could have her in Pattern Keeper. So I recharted her, and I'm pleased to say I did finally get her finished in 2020. And that seemed to be the catalyst for finishing lots of unfinished projects, not new projects. Although I think Brave, that you see just here, she was a new project during the 2020s. So I got her quickly stitched. And then I also think I started on Hot Chocolate and this one here. So these were all kind of long-term unfinished projects, and I did eventually get them done. And there's another one around the corner here, which you'll not be able to see, but I will input a little picture here of it. So yeah, that was out of, I'm sure it was either the World of Cross Stitch or the Cross Stitching magazine. So I finally got that one finished because it's heavy on the back stitch. I'm not a huge fan of back stitch. I don't include it in any of the patterns I design because it does add a lot to it. I can't deny that it doesn't add to it. I just can't be bothered with it. So there's that. And let's have a look and see what else we've got. So I've written a wee list of all the ones that I've got finished. A lot of them are framed and in here, but I'm not about to take them off the walls. Definitely not. So the first one is this Zodiac one. Now I started this, I used to work in BT on Directory Inquiries on the night shift. So BT 192. And to keep us awake, a lot of us, we would knit, we would sew, we would do all sorts of things just to keep the mind active. So I started this when I was on night shift in BT. I went off on maternity leave to have my fourth baby. Who knows how I had time to find all this, do all the stitching. Anyway, I had my fourth baby, and that one just really fell into the bottom of the pile because there was a lot of backstitch, a lot of stitching, and never to be seen again until that is the 2020s, where I spent some time and got it finished. And I didn't rechart that one because it was just little chunks, like the little Virgo and the little Taurus. So it was little chunks. It was a wee bit more manageable. Thankfully, I'd already completed the whole border with the gold thread around it. So I'd already finished that, or I may never have finished that one. So that is the Zodiac one. And then we've got Enchanted Alphabet. Now I love this one. I stitched this when my girls were small, but if you look closely at the dress, I don't have a better picture of her. If you look closely at the dress, there's a slight change in colour because I didn't realise there was a B5200 and then there was just white, and that there was such a huge difference between the two of them. So yeah, I've been tempted over the years to unpick it, but I probably won't. But that's Enchanted Alphabet. And then we've got my little Highland Coup. Now that one popped up in a magazine not that long ago actually, and I got to stitching it and finishing it really quickly. And I was having a clear out of all my threads and ribbons and that, so I thought, let's just throw it all together and make a little wreath. So I did send a picture of it into the magazine and it featured. If I can find the magazine piece, I will input it, but who knows where that is. So many pictures. So then we've got Mickey. Now he was unfinished for the longest time, and the only thing I had to do was those little music notes. That's all. That stopped him from being a fully finished object. So now he's done. And then we've got Mulan. Now she did get fully finished. I turned her into a cushion for my daughter-in-law. And yeah, she was a good stitch because she had a lot of nice chunky colours. So she's a cushion now, but I don't think I took a picture of the finished object. And then we've got Row of Love, all these little teddy bears. So that was another labour of love, but I think I was quite monogamous stitch in that one. And then this one, this is one of my designs. This is the Red Moth Maiden, and I designed her for a really good friend of mine, Fiona, who didn't know I designed her for her, but I then stitched her up, got her all framed and gifted her to Fiona because she loves moths. I don't. But anyway, I made something pretty out of a moth. So that is Moth Maiden. She was absolutely blown away with that. Then we've got the little R2D2. And we've also got BB-8, but I haven't finished BB-8. I have finished R2-D2, and he's in a frame in the loft because he'll be going in my son's house when he eventually gets settled. Then we've got these two bears. I can't remember what they weren't. Cherished teddies. They did have a name. There was a whole thing of them, and I couldn't do French knots. But if you look closely at the tutus on these bears, there are a million French knots. Needless to say, I'm an absolute pro at French knot now. Could do it in my sleep. But yeah, that was lovely. Enjoyed doing that one. And then this next one is Seaside. This is an Emma Congdon one, and I stitched this for a couple of friends that I used to work with who moved in together, and they got a little house by the sea, so I thought this would be a really nice one. They got engaged just a few months ago, so no doubt I'll be looking to do a wedding sampler. So that's all my fully finished objects. And this little drawer, moving on, this little drawer, I treated myself, wait, this side, I treated myself to this last year. This is full of my DMCs. I got them all sorted. I did a little video of them, which I'll insert right here while I get my whips ready for you. Another finish that I forgot to show you. I've been kicking it every 2 minutes I turn around. So this I designed and stitched for my granddaughter. This is absolutely huge. It's a lovely Piero clown, which she shows herself from all my designs. So I've stitched that, got it all framed up. So I'll be gifting that to her for Christmas, but it's a huge one. So there's that. I completely forgot about that. And there's hundreds more all throughout time that are in boxes in the loft, have been gifted, that are all over. I'm going to switch to the overhead camera now and we'll go through my whips. Right, so here we are, overhead camera set up. Hopefully you'll be able to see what I've got better. Now I'm not doing these in any particular order. I'll just tell you about them as we go. So this one, this had been on my wish list for such a long time, and when I finally got the money together, I bought all the bits and bobs I needed, all the beads, all the threads, everything I needed, and I've done great guns. I don't know if you can see some, let's see if we can see some of this beading. Yeah, look at some of that beading. Absolutely stunning. So I was working away with her, but in 2022 I fell over, had a bit of a blackout and busted my hand. So I ended up having to have these two fingers cut all the way down here, and it's kind of left me with a bit of dexterity problems in the whole hand rather than just those two fingers. So I'm really struggling to get back to the beading, but I will. I definitely will, because I want to finish this one and the matching one because they are stunning. Look at those rich, rich colours. So I don't have a percentage because I'm doing this from a chart, not from Pattern Keeper. We're going old school with this one. And then we've got, this is Winter Maiden. She is one of my designs, and luckily I had this fabric in my stash. I think I got it from Etsy at one point, with no plans with what to do with it, but it worked out absolutely perfect for her. I will insert a little picture of what she should look like. Let's see if we can get her on the tablet. So that's what she should look like. So I am Winter Maiden 30% of the way through. I had to order more threads, so she kind of got put on the back burner for a bit. But yeah, I'll get back to her probably in the summertime. So that's Winter Maiden. Then we've got Toast. Who doesn't love toast? Now this one I am 63% of the way through, which is really good. And that will look like this. Until I click on the right thing, because we can't be showing you anything too much. So that's the toast sampler. So I think I fell out of love with it a little bit because I have to do another row of it, the exact same toast. But yeah, I will get there. I will get there. Have I done any of the border? Oh, I have. I've done a bit of the border down the bottom. Yeah, so 63% for the toast one. So let's see who's next. Now this one was done as a tribute to myself, with all my trials and tribulations, my accidents and incidents. And this is My Sweet Voodoo. And again, she's one of my designs. I'll show you what she's like when she's finished. And that's what she's going to look like when she's finished. So I've got a little bit to do. She's quite good because I can jump in and just do a little bit here and there. So she is 48%, so nearly halfway there with her. But yeah, I'll get back to her. I've probably got a few more pins to add to her. So it's My Sweet Voodoo. This one is quite a recent one. This is Dream Raven. Now I designed this chart and I absolutely love it, but I can't seem to get to grips with it. I've done an awful lot of frogging. You'll see shading around here where I've had to unpick this rose again. So that's what that one will look like. I keep miscounting that, but then I shouldn't be jumping about so much, should I? I should just focus on one area and crack on with it. So that is Dream Raven, and that's only 3% done. But yeah, I'm determined to finish this one because I love it. Then I've got the one I've been working on very recently is my Little Batty. Now Little Batty also has a notebook and a pen to match because I absolutely adore this little guy. And this is what he'll be like when he's done. And he does have a back piece, so that if you wanted to do, you know, as a little cushion or decoration, you could. Yeah, he's cute. He's got 50%. So I did about 55 stitches last night, and that took me to 50%. So I think I need to order this thread, unless it's still in the unwound pile. But I'll have a look for that later. And my last absolute labour of love is this one, the Foxy Lady. Now she, let's have a look. Now she should be bigger than the square I've done, but I've chopped her off across here because I don't think this really adds anything to the chart, and I want to turn her into a cushion. You'll see there's quite a few white bits here where colours are missing from the original chart, but I'll just fill them in as I go. I've kind of got a confetti heavy bit. Some of these bits here were quite heavy with the confetti, but confetti's quite forgiving. You know, if you miss one here or there, it's not too bad because it is shading. So she's probably got the most done. She's 79%. So, but that does include that. I mean, I did block that off on Pattern Keeper, so it looks like I'm 79% of the way there. But yeah, I'll definitely get back to her because she's absolutely gorgeous. So I think that's it for my whips at the moment. Not too many, but we'll turn back to face-to-face camera and have a chat. So I hope you enjoyed my little delve into my cross-stitch world. I'm going to go off and see if I can find this thread now. Maybe do a bit of bobbin winding while I'm at it. If you've enjoyed this floss tube, please like, subscribe, share it with your other cross-stitchy friends. If you're interested in any of my charts and patterns, I will leave the website below. They are all full colour. There's no back stitch, no half stitch, no fractional stitches, nothing, and they're always Pattern Keeper compatible. So have a look, no pressure. If you're just here for the floss tubes, I'm eternally grateful. So please like and subscribe, share, and join me on this journey into Flosstube. Now I suppose I'm going to have to pick up the stitching now, and so that I've got something to talk about next time. But anyway, have a lovely Christmas if I don't record before that, and I'll see you all in the new year.